Next, we talked to a lot of coaches. When you look across the playoffs this upcoming season, upcoming week, you're seeing a lot of big time matchups, and I always gravitate towards the record, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, Katy plays Atascocita. That's
Right.
I believe 12-0 or 11-0 against
10-0.
like 10-0 or 10-1.
11-1 versus 10-0.
Yeah, like big records, right? Arlington, Martin, and Allen, I believe they have one loss between them. But if you scroll through the bracket,
Yep.
you'll notice that one of these teams maybe is not like the other. The Commerce Tigers enter their regional semifinal matchup with Kemp in Emory this Friday with a 6-6 record.
Mm-hmm.
And here to talk about one of the most remarkable stories in the state is the head coach of the Commerce Tigers. We're joined by Coach Cody Farrell. Coach, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
We are doing excellent. I've been trying to think of how to phrase this question, and so I guess I'll just lay it out to you. How are you guys still in the playoffs?
Well, it's not always record that you're talking about. You got to win the right ball games, and when we got going in district, we had a 4-2 district record, and we've just been we rattled off our last 6 in a row. So we've won the games that are the ones that you're supposed to win.
Yeah, we've kind of like we're burying the lead a little bit because the story for you guys is that you guys started off 0-6. You guys are going in. You even drop your first district game or your first 2 district games to Farmersville and Mount Vernon, and all of a sudden, was there ever a moment when you guys maybe lose that game to Mount Vernon 47-16 on October 6th? Was there a moment where you're like, oh, well, maybe this just isn't the year, or did you think that there is a turnaround coming?
Well, I always believed in our team, but, I mean, if we're being honest, yeah, there was a time we walk off the field of Mount Vernon, they had just beat us like they did, and Mount Vernon had this big fireworks show. So it was kind of like a kick in the seat, when you get beat like that. But we kept telling our guys it takes 3 to win in district. Mm-hmm. All you need is 3 games. And we kept looking at the record. We got our schedule. We have 3 games that we can win. And so our guys, they believed in it the whole time. So it was just, hey, one at a time. That's all we can do. And then, Winsboro came, and then Mineola came, was the Finish State champ, and we finished with Quitman. And those were the 3, and Grand Saline was one of those. Those were the games that we had to win.
And so you guys just really focused up, and you mentioned it. You have you've rattled off your last 6. Judging based on what you saw in those first 6 games, maybe versus your last 6 games, what's been the biggest difference for you guys?
Well, the biggest thing is, and I'm not sure if you know this, but this is my first year at Commerce, and then my offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, the whole staff's brand new, and I'm a first-year head coach. Mm-hmm. My offensive coordinator is a first-year offensive coordinator, Drill Badon, fantastic young mind, and then John McSheffrey is a first-year defensive coordinator. And so what would happen, it was our guys, we were just teaching the system, and and these guys were 2-8 last year, and they bought into us, and they believed us the whole time about winning and how to do it. But it just started working. We started making those tackles that we were missing. We started making those blocks that were in those catches. And these guys, they always had it in them. It just started coming together.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It is really remarkable. We're talking with Cody Farrell, the head coach of the Commerce Tigers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Coach, and so now, you guys, but even when you win these district games, the playoffs are a different matter. And this is a team that went 2-8. You mentioned you're in your first year. You came over from your spot over there at Hallsville before this season. Going into that playoff game where I don't think it's necessarily disrespectful to say you guys were underdogs to White Oak. What was your message to to your team before you guys pulled out what was a thrilling 35-34 win?
Well, it was a matter of we have to continue to do what we do. It's about the process. If you focus on White Oak, if you look at White Oak on paper, if you look at records, if you look at what your radio shows about what White Oak has done, then you're going to lose sight of what we have to do. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much about what White Oak does. They're a good football team. They practice just like we do. They lift weights just like we do. What we have to do is we have to focus on the Commerce Tigers. What do we do well? What do we need to do to win? And when we do that, we're as athletic as anybody we're going to play. Mm-hmm. And we just have to focus on the Commerce Tigers and doing what we do the best that we can do it. And that night we put it together, and we had a great showing against a really, really good football team.
And then you guys follow it up with, I think what can be called another upset. You guys take down Sunnyvale 20-17. You get a late field goal from Jordy Ramirez as time expires to pull out a 20-17 victory. This is at some point. When do what is the vibe around this program like? Now that you guys have rattled off these games, not only have gotten these 6 wins in a row, but have kind of done it in dramatic fashion.
Well, the saying around here is "Don't take the cheese." that is it. That is it. Like, we try to keep our kids humble and grounded and tell them we're not very far removed from that 0-6 start. Mm-hmm. And if we want to start going back to the way things that we did it back in the day, then we're close to ending our season. But when we started rolling off that 6-game win, we take seriously our preparation and what we do from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we tell them not to take the cheese. Don't buy into the hype. Don't get complacent. Don't be okay with just being 6-6 on the year. Let's just stay hungry. Let's keep going. Listen, everyone's going to tell you you're doing good, but don't believe in it. Let's just keep working. Let's be one of those hungry football teams that are ready for more. And we right now we want to keep playing.
Well, yeah. Well, so if you're listening to this, if you're a player for Coach Farrell, don't listen to this because we're kind of hyping you guys up right now. Ignore this.
We just got through with athletics, so they should be showering and going to lunch. So.
Good. Okay. Fantastic. Good. I don't want. So then I want to ask you about a couple of your players. One of the guys who came up, he came up aces for you guys last week. Kendarius Williams comes up with a fumble return for a touchdown. He also caught a touchdown pass. This is a kid who seems to be kind of Johnny on the spot for you guys whenever you need the big play. What can you tell us about this young man?
Well, KD is what we call him here. KD is a fantastic player. And KD is probably one of our fastest, most athletic kids. He's a point guard on the basketball team. He's our great 200-meter runner here, regional qualifier in track, and he's a great wide receiver, defensive back. And he's the guy that every week he draws the matchup of you're going to go with their best receiver. You're going to be the kick returner. When we need something done out on the edge in the perimeter in the passing game or the defensive back, he's the one that gets that. He's up to the task. He's the one that we have a lot of trust and faith in. And he's a kid. KD's a kid that, I think he's top 15 in his class. Extremely bright kid, hard worker. And we've got a lot of faith in KD.
And then I want to ask you about the guy who's probably been the bell cow for you guys is Isaiah Askew, a guy who every single week he's the guy toting the mail for you guys. Your running back, a guy who was a second-team All-District guy last year, seems to be having an even bigger year this year. You're the guy who gets to see him every day in practice. What can you tell us that sets him apart?
What sets Isaiah apart, he is the most consistent kid that I've ever been around in my life. He shows up every single day. I don't know if he's had a bad day or a good day. They're all the same to him. I'm serious. He is the most likable kid that you'll ever meet. Isaiah really is. Every coach ever talks about it, but to have a special year, you got to have special players. Mm-hmm. And the two that you talked about, those are special kids. And we have a lot more, but Isaiah is a special kid. And the biggest difference from this year and last year is he's not fumbling the football, not turning it over, not giving it to the other team. But I think he's at 1,875 yards right now in the season. And then a lot of our success goes behind the running with him, and his yards are tough yards. Mm-hmm. After contact, I don't have that stat in front of me, but what kind of yardage he gets after contact is what makes him such a special back.
We're talking with Cody Farrell, the head coach of the Commerce Tigers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved with the conversation at #TF Today. All right, Coach, it's on to the next one. Tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Emory's Wildcat Stadium. It's the Commerce Tigers against the Kemp Yellow Jackets in a regional semifinal in the 3A Division I bracket. I don't want to ask you to give away your game plan, but you're looking ahead to tomorrow. What are you guys going to have to do to get a victory over what's been a very good Kemp team?
Well, when you look at Kemp, the first thing you're going to notice is how good they are on defense. Mm-hmm. And Kemp's got, number 5 and number 3 at Kemp. If you guys are football fans, y'all need to watch them because they're fantastic football players. Defensively, Kemp's a throwback, 10-1, and they just get after you. So offensively, we're going to have to make sure that we don't get ourselves in second and long, third and long situations. We got to be consistent and efficient with the ball because they're really tough to move the ball on. And then defensively, we've got to know where 3's at the whole time. 3, he's a receiver and he's special, and then 5's a running back. Those are kids they broke the mold with because they are good football players. And we're just going to have to make sure that we play sound defense tackle and not give up the big play. And if we do give up the big play, we got to shake it off and we got to come back and make them snap it again. And it's going to be one of those slug fests back and forth.
It's going to
be.
I
told our kids it's going to be our best effort. It's got to come tomorrow night.
It's going to be a lot of fun out there at Emory's Wildcat Stadium when Commerce takes on Kemp. And Coach, it's kind of funny that like normally the high school football team is the talk of the town. In Commerce, you guys have your pick of the litter. You can go with the Commerce Tigers. Or you can go with what's going on there at A&M Commerce. And old Colby Carthel is a guy that we know, a guy that we are familiar with, and I know that you have a history with him. You actually shared an office with him at one point at West Texas A&M. And so I just want to open up the floor. Anything you want to say about Colby Carthel to the world
that we can use against him later.
That we can use against him later. The floor is yours, Coach.
Oh, man. I know Colby. I've known Colby. I've worked with him at Abilene Christian as well. Colby's a great, great coach, great friend of mine. We actually have a deal going right now, the last team playing in Commerce. So, so I we got a little bet going. So whoever loses the bet is going to have to divvy up and pay some money and do something of their choosing. But Colby's fantastic. He turned that program around. And Colby's had a hand in this, helping me hire the staff that I brought in here. They've all got ties with Colby as well. You kind of just want to get with a winner, and that's one thing that we've been able to do is just Colby's and even his father Don Carthel. The Carthel name is they've been legends in the Lone Star Conference, and it's a pleasure to know them now. Maybe off the air, I'll give you some Colby stories.
All right.
I don't know if the FCC is listening to you guys or not. So. All
right, I'm gonna hold you to it, Coach. I'm gonna hold you to it. He is Cody Farrell. He's the head coach of the Commerce Tigers. They've got a big game tomorrow night at Emory's Wildcat Stadium, regional semifinal 3 Division 1. They will take on Kemp. Coach, congratulations on all your success and your remarkable turnaround. Best of luck on Friday night, and I'll be calling you for that Colby Carthel story.
Yes, sir. I sure appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
There he goes, Cody Farrell, the head coach of the Commerce Tigers. An unbelievable story. Unbelievable. Like story. We've had teams that have losses, right?
Yeah.
Well, like I believe you go back to the North Shore team in 2015. I think they had 4 losses, or something like that. That happens. We had a team playing for a title last year with 4 losses, in Yoakum.
Yeah.
Right. You so rarely see a team turn it around after 0-6. Do you know what a demoralizing thing it is?
Start 0-6.
To get kicked in the gut 6 consecutive weeks. And then the thing about the fireworks. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just like, oh, well, okay.
Fine.
But what a job. What a job that Cody Farrell has done in his first year at Commerce. That is incredible.
It's a great job, and this is an interesting game because this is the Kemp team that really struggled, for a little while against Mount Vernon last week. But he's right. Jordan Kempf, number 5, is who he's talking about, and Kane Johnson, number 3. Excellent playmakers, both sides of the ball, really. I mean, they're going to have their hands full. And we're talking about a Mount Vernon team, that put the whooping on Commerce earlier this year and then had a fireworks show. So I'm really interested to see how this goes because clearly Commerce is a much better team. I think Kemp has something to prove after last week. They're averaging 50 points a game, and they go into that game and they only score 1 offensive touchdown. So I'm really excited about this. Love Coach Hankins, and it sounds like Cody's doing a great job in his first year. It's going to be a good one.
It will be a good one, and I've said this before. I'm not a believer in momentum. I don't love the idea of momentum in sports, but I think in high school football especially, I believe in confidence.
Yeah, you can ride a wave. Yeah, their confidence is building with each week.
Gosh.
And winning close too.
Yes.
You can't underestimate that.
I mean, they've won their 2 playoff games by 4 points.
Yeah.
It is awesome what's going on there in Commerce. So we appreciate Coach Cody Farrell taking a little bit of time out of his game prep to talk with us Jackals.